Google released its workforce composition report early this year, it showed that minorities made up less than 5% of its workforce. Similar numbers were found among 5 other major Silicon Valley tech firms. Since these findings became public, civil rights groups, activists, and city and county governments throughout the U.S. have been focused on how to increase minority hiring at U.S. technology firms. Richland County Council has taken steps to ensure minorities here at home can compete in today's high-tech marketplace. We sat down with Richland County Council Chair Norman Jackson to discuss how Richland County took a stance to advocate for diversity. Councilman Jackson, thank you for taking the time to sit down with us today. I had a question for you. Richland County recently adopted a resolution advocating for diversity in technology, and you drafted that resolution. I wanted to know what steps are being made to see that the things that you're advocating in that resolution come to be.
Well, first, the county is planning to do a disparity study. As you know, a disparity study needs a lot of data and it takes time to really do the disparity study. So we're working on that. But before we get to that, one tool we have found was I made a motion. I've created an Office of Business Opportunity for small business. With that office, it will have special programs on training. Also, it will have programs of bonding, because a lot of minority companies or small companies cannot get bonding, for one. Number two, they cannot get the finance or access to finance capital to really run their business. So that's one of the things I've created. Richland County Council have created is the Office of Small Business Opportunity. And that will sort of address some of the lacking of companies not having the capacity or the really knowledge to move that extra step to move forward and get involved in this global community with access to different programs.
Okay. Turning our focus nationally, a lot of time there were several recent studies done, and some numbers came out a while back stating that diversity in some of the Silicon Valley companies, big companies like Google, Facebook, diversity in some areas are as low as 3%. A lot of times tech companies will push back and say that the reason that they don't have a lot of minorities is because there are no minorities with the skill sets they're looking for. What are some of your thoughts on how do we address this problem?
Well, working with the university, Midlands Technical College, some of the universities in the area also helps bringing awareness, and I'm sure they have program. Midland Tech has some programs also that some immediate start to address these concerns. But those programs are available. It's just to get the word out to the business community that these students are here. They have done is just to get into the workforce. That's the task. That's the problem. The main problem most people have now. If you check the statistics on universities and the colleges, you have a lot of minorities are involved in these programs, have graduated from these programs, with high numbers also. But it's just to get into the door. And that's one of the reasons why Richland County will be doing a disparity study in the near future to address some of these concerns.
Okay. What do you think accounts for some of the lack of participation or the lack of minorities in the tech industry? Do you think that there is just not enough awareness in the minority community of the opportunities in the tech industry?
No, I think there's enough awareness. I think sometimes it's just frustration to getting into different companies. As I said again, you can see the numbers of the studies that exist now. There's such low numbers of minorities in some of these high-tech fields. But they're there. So I think it's just a frustration of getting in. I guess most of these jobs, because it pays so well, is so competitive. And because of that higher salary, it's really hard to really get in the door. And that's what's affecting a lot of minorities not getting these jobs. So we have to bring awareness, bring out the numbers so people can understand. They have to understand the support they're getting from the minority community, right? The commitment and the contribution from the minority community also to get involved in these jobs. So once we can bring the awareness, I think companies will start looking different and start being inclusive to support minorities in their program.
Okay. What have you, or what is the climate like in Richland County for tech companies? Have you seen an increase in tech companies? And if so, what is Richland County doing to attract more tech companies?
We have an economic development office, and they've done a tremendous job bringing in new companies into the county. Just opened another pharmaceutical business in Northeast Columbia also. We're developing the necessary infrastructure to bring tech companies here also. One thing people have to understand, to bring companies, you have to have the necessary infrastructure. Water, sewer, roads, railroads, electricity. These things have to be there to bring these companies. And we're changing from the old polluting companies and low wages companies that pollutes and destroy and move forward and not pay a good salary, to more high-tech and green companies. So we have adopted a green ordinance to support clean industry that will not harm our citizens. And at the same time, we are pushing to bring more high-tech companies here. One of the things we have to deal with, our infrastructure, especially with the roads, is so poor in the state of South Carolina. The gasoline tax is one thing that would help support the roads and the bridges. But in 28 years, our state legislatures have not addressed the gasoline tax. It's still at 16 cents per gallon for the past 28 years. 28 years ago, you could build a mile of road for $300,000. Now a mile of road costs over $1 million, but we're still paying the same 16 cents per gallon. That trickled down to the county. That's why Richland County had to do a penny sales tax to help improve our road infrastructure, transportation with buses, and the roads and bridges, because our state legislatures has failed to address that problem. North Carolina is paying over 30 cents per gallon. Georgia is paying over 30 cents per gallon. We're paying 16 cents per gallon for the past 28 years. That affects the state. It affects the counties to bring these jobs that needs to come in. Because when a company looks to relocate or to locate, they're looking not only on the businesses around, but also the necessary infrastructure to move their goods, access for the employees to get to work on time, right? Different things that proper road system will bring. And if the state is not addressing it, then we locally have to. And I'm glad Richland County citizens decided to take the opportunity to pass a referendum with the penny sales tax to address having more green companies come here.
Okay. Councilman Jackson, thank you for sitting down with us today.
Thank you. Anytime.